Welcome to Mondays Learn with BeautySlesh, where I post weekly tutorials about microblading, shading, and hair strokes with machine tutorials. For this week, I had picked questions from the Instagram, and the questions were how to color correct red and blue eyebrows. So let me share my screen and go over some of the works from the internet and share with you my tricks how to color correct them. Okay, so let me show you some of the red and blue brows. So if we go to my very old work, so to color correct this brows, I would use the orange pigment. This is the pigment from Permablend Orange Crush, I believe. I will link this pigment in my description below under this video. So I would cover it with this pigment, and I will show you the reason why. So I had another video on the color theory with more details, but let me just go over really quickly. If we add even amount of blue, red, and yellow pigment together, we will have a neutral brown. So if she came with the blue eyebrows, it means to get the brown color, we have to add more yellow and red pigment. But yellow and red pigment together is the orange pigment. The same goes for yellow and blue pigment together gives us the green color. So if she comes with the red eyebrows, we have to cover it with olive color. So for those eyebrows, since her eyebrows are really intense in color, we pick the really intense orange pigment first. We cover this with orange pigment on our first procedure. We see how it heals, and then based on how it heals, we can add any other work like microblading on our second procedure. But I assure you, and this is what happened with this work, the microblading simply does not hold because it's just too light and it loses in this intensity of the color and will not be seen. I can show you a very nice picture here. Very intense orange color, and microblading just loses inside intense colors such as even these. I would definitely suggest to use hair strokes with machine. So hair strokes with machine can be very intense in color and can make this brow look more natural. Let me show you another old tattoo. So this old tattoo had a bit, I would say, warm orange and a bit of the gray. Basically she did twice, so we have different pigments here. Because this orange is very light, it definitely can be covered with microblading, and that's what I did. I simply covered with microblading of the brown color, and I just put some shading. Now if we see this work, so this color, really blue color, we should cover with the orange and see the healed result. And for this intensity of the color, the way we should work with our machine is that our hand movement is very slow because we want to make sure it covers all the areas since it's very intense color. So it's not like in powder brows our movement is wide and we have more softer look. For this particular case, we have to really shade each segment. I would use this bright orange color and would go slowly cover every part of the skin. Now if we look at the red eyebrows here, this is a red, really nice red color, and according to our pictures here, by the way, you can copy these pictures. It's really handy to see if she comes with red brows, we have to add the olive color. This is the same picture. So what are the olive pigments? I actually, because I have the Tina Davis pigments, so I would just simply use her gray color, which is a really nice olive color with yellow base. So this pigment would cover nicely those red eyebrows. If you do not have Tina Davis, you can use this pigment as well from Permablend. All the links are in my description under this video. The question is, do we add another brown on top or just work with a corrector? So let me explain to you this. If, for instance, this color, right? If we just go with the this pigment over those brows, we will have quite light brown color. If she wants to have a darker brown, I would add on top any other brown color. So in one procedure, you first make sure you cover all the way with the olive pigment throughout all the brow. This will color correct it, but a brown that will turn out might be not dark enough as she wanted to have. So I would go the last path, I would go over with any brown color. So 3 passes of the color corrector and then 1-2 passes of the brown pigment. But if she does want to have the light brows, then just covering with color corrector would be enough. Now for this brows, even though it's not about blue or red brows, but I just want to really show you something interesting. You can see the previous microblading she did left scars on her skin. So the scar tissue is always a loose tissue, so whenever you do a new microblading on those skin, it does hold not so well. So I also suggest to do machine microblading, or machine hair strokes is the same thing, or do the shading. For this color, because it's not dark, you can use any brown color. You don't have to use a color corrector. For this brows, you see she did microblading, and it's, if she feels this microblading is too dark, she wants to have a more brownish color. It's also very tricky to color correct the microblading as it is hair strokes. So even if you put just the microblading, it probably won't make it warmer, because you see the microblading here was intense. So you would use the machine method again to color correct this using, I would pick this pigment in this time because this is more neutral. This would be too bright. It might be seen in between her strokes. So you would use this color and go over, either you would do the shading, or you would do machine hair strokes. You can try to do manual microblading and let me know if it works or not, but I'm sure it will not cover this work. Now the question, if the client has red and blue eyebrows together, what do we do about this? So of course the red part you would cover with the olive pigment on this, and on the same procedure the blue part you would cover with the orangey color corrector. So at the same procedure you would use one color on that part, another color on the another part. But because her eyebrows, I would say this is quite light, and machine hair strokes would simply cover this. So this I did machine hair strokes on top, so this way is easy to cover her old tattoo. Another thing that I want to point out, if you have this light blue color or light red color, do we use these color correctors? No, we don't, because these color correctors are only for very intense colors such as these. If she has a light color, then we can simply use any brown color. So I do use Tina Davis pigments. So if I were to do the shading, I would use the olive pigment to cover her red areas. And the olive pigment is either the ash brown, which I would just love to use the link in the description below, or the gray color. For the blue part, for the light blue color, I would use the medium brown, which is really warm and it can nicely cover the light blue colors. So to sum up, if a client come to you with very intense blue color, you use the color corrector. You can wait for touch up and see what brown it turns into, and then if you feel the brown color is too light, you can add just any brown color on her touch up on top of the brows. In this case is eyeliner. You can do so in one procedure as well if you're more experienced. So you can go with 3, 4, 5 passes of the color corrector, of the orange color corrector, this orange color corrector. Then after a few passes, your last pass, you can add the brown, because you know you want to make the brown color more darker. If you do not want to make the brown color darker, if you like it how it is, the color corrector would be enough. For the red brows, we use the olive color. If the brows are very, very red, you would use the olive color corrector. If the red color is light, you would use any brow pigment with the olive base, such as ash brown, gray in Tina Davis. I think, so I hope this is clear. And again, for the light blue color, we just use again any warm brow pigment, such as medium brown. Just to also mention the discount, if you want to purchase the Tina Davis pigments, with discount, I believe it's 15% off. You can use my code BeautySlesh15. So I hope, guys, I hope this video was useful. You can also refer to more information on my account, BeautySlesh, and also I have another account, Learn BeautySlesh, where I post tutorials. So if you guys have suggestions for the next week, Mondays Learn with BeautySlesh, leave them under this video, or you can text me on Instagram. I believe we will have a new videos on machine hair strokes, on how to position yourself when you do microblading. Should you sit behind or in front of the client? And I believe there was more, so we have a nice list, but you are welcome to send me new interesting questions that you have, and I will see you next Monday on Mondays Learn with BeautySlesh.